So there have been some details now on the new DLC, which is called They Shall Not Pass, and a lot of us are really excited for it. Just in terms of content, it's going to be nice to have something a bit more fresh and a bit more original on Battlefield 1. We always knew that there would be a sort of drought of DLC in between launch day and the first DLC dropping, and bearing in mind the first map that they released, Giant Shadow, didn't really go down too well. I feel as though a lot of people are really stagnating at the moment and just waiting for something new to do and something new to play. This is perfectly fine. We all knew this is going to be part of the development cycle, and I'm sure people are going to get lots more interested in Battlefield 1 once the new content releases. But there's something about the new content today that kind of has caught my eye whilst thinking about what exactly is going to be in They Shall Not Pass. And I guess there was a few things that previously seems like an upgrade in terms of DLC, and I'll draw some comparisons to give you guys a rough idea of what I'm talking about. Now, we've kind of lost a thematic DLC for quite a while. Since the days of Battlefield 3, we used to have, DLCs that were specified for specific things. Like Battlefield 3, we had Close Quarters, a very clearly defined DLC with one clear purpose in terms of maps and game modes. And we seem to be having somewhat of a return to that system here in Battlefield 1. And now, although this hasn't been entirely confirmed, it would appear that all of the DLCs coming to Battlefield 1 are going to be thematic in terms of country. So this one's the French DLC. It's very likely, due to the game files that we've seen, that there is going to be a Russian DLC somewhere down the line, probably the next one to release, and it looks like it could go from there. And I feel as though that's a very interesting way of doing things. So that's a nice new addition to the DLC lineup, which somewhat makes it an upgrade. Now, in terms of just bog standard content and what do we actually get in these DLCs, I feel as though things, again, are going to be improved. There are 4 maps, which is very much typical of what we've come to expect of a Battlefield DLC, but the thing about these 4 maps is that it also comes with 2 operations across these 4 maps. Now, it could be a case of 3 maps for one operation and then maybe 2 of them for one operation, or what I'd personally believe to be the most logical choice, 2 maps per operation as we've seen previously. But 4 maps alongside 2 operations is a great thing. Now, these maps individually will of course accompany every single mode in terms of Rush, Conquest, Team Deathmatch, which is great, but they all play significantly differently to operations. Operations in its own right, I feel as though once it adopts a map, changes the feel entirely. If you've ever played Kaiserslatt on Conquest, and then you play Kaiserslatt in terms of operations on some of the towns like Amiens, it's an entirely different feel, a feel that's so different comparatively to playing on Conquest that you could almost classify it as new content. And I'd say personally, having 2 new operations is a raging success for Battlefield 1 in terms of DLC. Now, alongside this, we also have a new Behemoth. We've never really had the Behemoth system in any previous Battlefield iterations, and sometimes it's a bit of a love-hate relationship, but I know a lot of you guys enjoy using Behemoths. I personally absolutely adore the Dreadnought Behemoth when I can actually use the thing, and I like sort of Behemoths as well that can actually attack and defend objectives such as the airship, because that can actually, contest objectives through the air. And the Shah 2C, which is a giant-ass tank, which is the new Behemoth, does exactly that. It's going to be able to contest objectives, and it's a brand new piece of content that we previously haven't had before. We've had no information in terms of equipment, but it's safe to say there's probably at least going to be 1 or 2 pieces of equipment. There was the grenade crossbow for Giant Shadow, and that was just a single map, so I'd imagine somewhere somebody has thrown in some kind of piece of equipment to use. We also have the Specialist class. Now, there's the new Specialist class, which is focused on close quarters and melee and grenades and stuff like that. And that's another new piece of content as well, alongside the Behemoth. Now, obviously, these are new systems in Battlefield 1, but the fact that they're being supported so much in terms of actually getting new things into there is really cool to see. So we have the Elite classes, we have the Behemoths, we have the Operations, we have the standard 4 maps, and it's very likely to presume we're going to have a standard 5 weapons, as we come to expect. But alongside all of this, we also have a brand new game mode. We have front lines. Now, for those of you who don't know how this game mode is going to work, imagine operations, except if you lose a set of objectives as a defender, you can then capture them back, and vice versa. It's basically a game of like push. You try and capture an objective, they try and capture the objective back, you push the front line backwards or forwards, and at the end of the day, whoever has pushed the front line forward as best as they can will win the game. And that's going to be a very great game mode in my opinion. I feel like this is something that if executed well by the developers could be something that we see in all of the DLCs. I'd like to see all DLC maps accompany the Frontlines game mode if it is as good as I believe it possibly could be. Operations, in my opinion, is fantastic because it centralizes so many players on 2 or 3 or 1 objective, and I feel as though having that in Frontlines, which is most likely how it's going to pan out, is going to be huge for the game. So to summarize, we've got 4 new maps, 2 new operations, a new elite class, we have a new behemoth, and we most likely have 5 weapons, a new game mode, and probably 1 piece of equipment. So that's a huge upgrade from previously what we can come to expect from DLC. I'd be very surprised as well if there aren't some DLC specific skins that start get thrown into the mix. And it just feels as though, you know, this is something that's, you know, kind of been understated. I feel as though nobody's actually thought about the fact that this is going to have so much more content than what we're traditionally used to in terms of DLC. Compare this to Battlefield 4, where all you got was maybe 4 maps, a few weapons, and maybe 1 game mode in the DLC, and that was about as far as it went. So I feel like this is going to be great, and the fact that it's thematic as well is also going to be a nice addition. And the thing is, for me, I personally would say to you guys, is the staggered release of DLC. The fact that this is taking so long to release, although it's a downside, at the same time, in my personal opinion, the fact that it's taken so long also means that there's been more focus on it. There's been more development time, more time to actually do things and achieve a good level standard of DLC. In my personal opinion, the DLCs for Battlefield 4, some of them for Hardline, they just haven't really been up to scratch. I feel as though the best DLC we used to get was in the days of Battlefield 3, and I can only hope that Battlefield 1 is set to improve the standards we can come to anticipate from DLC. So guys, that's been it from me today, the Tactical Brit. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.